Semi-finalists confirmed in the Champions League. Quarter-final is over. Well, they started with 48 teams. Now they are just 4. And one of those 4 teams will win the Champions League. One of Bayern Munich, PSG, the defending champions, Arsenal, or Atletico Madrid. But before we get into the semi-finals, let's talk about how the quarterfinals went, especially the one at the Allianz Arena. Real Madrid almost did it. Bar a very loose defense line, Real Madrid almost, they just like Barcelona, they scored the amount of goals they needed to overturn it, but they just couldn't keep it tight at the back.
Yeah, when previously on our previous episode, I said if Real Madrid wanted to qualify, they needed Manu Neuer to have an off day. And you could see that two of those 3 goals where we could feel that on any given day, Manu Neuer would have done better.
That free kick was a mess. The first goal, the 2 Adagula goals could have been prevented.
Yeah. So, and one thing is, when you're playing against Bayern Munich, it's another thing that these guys, they don't really have a good defense.
And Upamecano, Jonathan Tah,
we could see it. Mbappe, they had chances to actually kill off the game, but they didn't take their chances. There was this ball Trent floated to Mbappe. He could have scored that chance. There's another chance Mbappe had again, 1v1 with, I think that was Jonathan Tah or Upamecano. He didn't score that chance again. So I just feel if they are taking those chances, they would have stood a chance when it comes to defeating Bayern Munich. And also defensively, they needed to keep it tight at the back, and they didn't. And also for Camavinga, he needed to keep his composure.
That was a mess from Camavinga. Now, for clarity's sake, most people believe that red card was the second yellow for the foul. It was not for the foul. Yeah. It was for delaying of restart. That was the height of number 1, unseriousness. Number 2, amateurism. Number 3, foolishness. Because you had just done something that some people were already clamoring for you to go let card for. The referee said no. And then you go and do the most foolish thing. Everybody professional in the game right now knows that delaying of restart is a yellow card. Slamming the ball on the ground. Those are off the ball actions that will earn you a yellow card. These are things that professional players should know.
I think for Camavinga, since his time at Lille, he was I think he's been a very good player since time.
And honestly, when he came in, he shoved up that defensive area. He was really blocking a lot of edge of the box shots. Eventually, Luis Diaz goal was edge of the box. He was really blocking most of those edge of the box shots and all that.
I think when it came to Real Madrid, it all felt like it was going to be the next person to probably come and cover for Casemiro and probably Luka Modric. But then it felt like it was going to come and cover for Casemiro. And if you look at it doesn't look like he has kind of matured over the years. It doesn't look like his game has kind of improved over the years. It doesn't feel like he has stagnated. And that was something that we saw from he showed it yesterday.
Could we just say injuries have had something to do with this?
I won't really say injuries have had. I just feel he hasn't really grown much by himself. He hasn't done a self development. I think if he had done that, things like this shouldn't be happening, because you should definitely know that okay, yes, we are in a tie. We need to go to the next round. This is any slight mistake or any inconvenience from himself will actually hamper the team. So he cost the team a whole lot yesterday, and we could see from the goal, from Luis Diaz's goal, the space that he left behind was where Luis Diaz exploited and got the goal from. I still come for Camavinga. I just feel he should have known better. He should have known better. He's played how many years at Real Madrid? He's played how many years of football? You should definitely be knowing better that you should be doing something like that.
But talk about Bayern Munich. Personally, I was disappointed. You're playing at home, and they practically allowed Real Madrid back into the game. I was not really convinced about. Yes, they eventually got the win and got a comfortable aggregate win. But when you look at the game, they were shaking. They were shaky at some point. They were not the Bayern Munich that we have been hailing and we have been. Has been tearing teams apart since the start of the season.
Yeah, for Bayern Munich and PSG, I just felt the game yesterday against Real Madrid. it's synonymous to what has been happening to them this season. Defensively, they've not been very good. I mean, if you look at the likes of Jonathan Tam, if you look at the players playing right back, Conrad Laiman,
he's a
midfielder by trade. Look at the person that played left back yesterday for them as well,
Stanisic.
He's not a left back for them as well. He's not
right back.
He's a right back. So right now, the only two the only players that are playing in their correct positions are Jonathan Tah and Upamecano. So it just feels like it's what the Bayern Munich fans have been saying for a very long time. They need cover defensively.
They went and got 2 seasons ago. They went and got the best defender in the Serie A, Kim Min-jae. But that's not worked out.
Yeah, it hasn't worked out. They have Hiroki Hito as well. It hasn't worked out as well. They've got Alphonso Davies. He's always in and out with injuries. They loaned out Sasha Bowie, who wasn't really good as right back. So now they have to contend with Conrad Laiman, who is a midfielder by trade, playing as a right back, and Stanisic has to play as a left back. So because he don't really have enough bodies in those positions.
Honestly, and this is where it gets interesting, because for the semi-final, I'm not really convinced, even though they both have defensive issues, PSG and Bayern Munich, but I'm not really convinced that Bayern Munich backline can hold up, the PSG attack. But of course, we'll leave that for when we preview the semi-finals. But then let's talk about the other quarterfinals. Let's talk about the game at the Wanda. Well, it's now called the Riyadh Air Metropolitano. Once again, Barcelona did the Ramontanda, but Ademola Lookman said no.
It was. I mean, when I was watching that game, I was actually hyped because of what Lamine Yamal actually said, because he came in hyped to the game, and honestly, he showed that. He got the first goal, and he felt like Barcelona are actually back in it, because definitely they are back in it. Now, Ferran Torres got the second goal. Now, what do you need to do? You need to concentrate. I think one thing is, in football, the best time you can lose concentration is when you score the goal. When you just score the goal, that's one of the times you can lose concentration. And within 7 minutes of Barca equalizing, we lost concentration.
Hit back.
And Atletico Madrid got the goal that they needed. Ademola Lookman. Ademola Lookman had no business being in front of Jules Koundé. He had no business. Yeah, you might say, okay, he was in an outside position before Llorente made that run, but still Koundé
lost his man.
He has to get back into position.
And once again, a goal that was made possible by the proverbial and the famous Barcelona highline.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got to go in the summer, because, to be sincere, Barcelona season is over. We know they win the La Liga. They're out of every other tournament apart from that. They're out of the Copa del Rey. They're out of the Champions League. So the season is practically over. Now they've got to plan for next season. They have to go and fix. It's either they stop the eye-line, if they know they are going to stick with all these Kubasi, Eric Garcia, Ronaldo Araujo, Gerard Martin. If they know they want to stick with these players, they have to stop the eye-line. Or they go and get players who have the experience, the speed, and the awareness to play a high-line defense line.
Yeah, one thing I've always been saying for a very long time is, when Barcelona actually brought in Inigo Martinez, it looks like the only defender with experience. I think that was one of the reasons why they actually got to the semi-finals of the UEFA Champions League last season. It looks like one of the only.
And it was the one who was sacrificed.
Yeah, if you look at Kubasi, Gerard Martin, Eric Garcia, Ronaldo Araujo, you can't really bank on these guys. So if you look at the two centre backs that they started against Atletico Madrid, Gerard Martin and Eric Garcia, these guys are not the fastest of centre backs, which kind of made it easy for Llorente to run through and get the crossing. So it just feels like when you want to play an island, probably get maybe a defender who is fast, maybe just one. You don't need two defenders that are fast, just one, or get an experienced defender. You can't
and the fast defender will be the last man. So it will be the cover. You
can't continue having the likes of Kubasi and Gerard Martin. These guys, they are still learning the trade. Yeah, Kubasi has been, like, I'll say, like 3 years at Barcelona, but still,
it still looks like a rookie.
I think it's 20, 21 or 18 right now. So these guys, they are still young. They are still learning the trade. Gerard Martin was a left back being converted to a centre back. Eric Garcia, since the time at Manchester City, I've not really enjoyed Eric Garcia.
Yeah.
Araujo, you can't really bank on Araujo. So they need experienced centre backs.
Now let's talk about Atletico de Madrid. You know, Diego Simeone, he has been in 2 semi-finals, 2 finals of the Champions League, and this is his 3rd. And he was quoted saying that the last 2 times he was in the semi-final and the final, Ronaldo practically stopped him. That there's no Ronaldo now. This is his time.
Well, it's going to be.
Does he have the team to win this Champions League? I mean, that attack line, I'm sure, but his defense is good enough. I mean, when you talk about a complete team, I think apart from the tired Arsenal, I think Atletico de Madrid is the next balanced team. They are good defensively, their midfield is all right, and their attack, wow, those quartets, Lookman, Solot, Alvarez, and Griezmann can breach any defense.
Definitely.
So why not Atletico for the Champions League this season?
It's going to be difficult because if you look at the other teams ahead of them, Bayern Munich and Paris
PSG, you're not talking about Arsenal.
I mean, if you look at the way Arsenal have played past week,
so Arsenal is behind. So in the rating of semi-finalists, Arsenal is the least.
I'll say Arsenal is the least.
Wow.
I'll say Arsenal is the least.
Interesting.
So if you look at other teams, these guys score goals for fun. They are defensively, they might not be good, but then they score goals for fun. I think that might just be what might take them ahead of Atletico Madrid. They score goals for fun. So for Atletico Madrid and for Diego Simeone, I just feel if he wants to get to the final, he might just be the only one that might not make sure Atletico Madrid gets to the final because he needs to release these guys.
Is it a shame that Liverpool were disgraced that way by PSG? I mean, it's almost like they did not turn on part. It's also almost like they wasted their time for 180 minutes plus of football game. 4-2-0 at the Parc des Princes, 2-0 at Anfield, 4-0. No goal scored against a PSG defense that can hardly keep a clean sheet in the French Ligue 1. I mean, whoever they play at the French Ligue 1, they concede. And they kept 2 clean sheets against Liverpool.
I mean, Liverpool made PSG look like this team, they're untouchable. Because we saw this Paris Saint-Germain against AS Monaco. They were on the verge of getting knocked out.
Exactly.
Not for red cards that undid AS Monaco. We can't really say Chelsea because obviously Chelsea didn't play Chelsea.
And even Chelsea, at some point, Chelsea were in the game until they weren't.
So Liverpool, I don't know. It looked like they had it coming for honestly. They had this performance coming. Ancelotti and
is it time to start Ancelotti?
I feel by the end of the season, if they don't make Champions League, or they don't make any, or let me say if they don't make Europe at all, or they don't make Europa League and Champions League, I think they might sit down and review Ancelotti's season at Liverpool. But I still feel they might not want to sack him yet.
And Arsenal, well, they are practically the ones that just dragged themselves
they are
over the line. I mean, last minute goal in Portugal was the telling goal. I mean, how disappointed were you about that Emirates performance? I mean, because in the press conference, Arteta talked about it, they're on fire, and so we expected to see some fire performance. But what we saw was water performance. So I don't know. He said he was talking about being on fire, and the performance we saw in that game had no fire whatsoever in it. So I don't know. How disappointed were you in that performance?
So to be honest, I wasn't disappointed because if you look
Sporting Lisbon, if they were a more experienced side, should have gotten a win at the Emirates.
They should have taken
first half. They had
a lot of chances. I mean, that Jenny Katamu's strike should have been a goal. I mean, the thing is, for us now, the way they've been playing these past few weeks, it hasn't been great. They needed a result because they know if they play the way they played against AFC Bournemouth, they'll get beaten. They don't have the luxury of that. They knew, look, we can't go out against this Sporting Lisbon side. These guys will score goals. So they needed to do something. Keep it tight at the back. Even if they don't score goals, just don't concede. So I think they brought it. They kind of took it back to the beginning of the season where they might not be playing very well, but they'll keep clean sheets. I think that's what Arteta actually did. That's what Arteta and the boys did. They didn't play very well, but the clean sheet was the most important thing for Arsenal yesterday.
So the most important thing for Arsenal was not maybe winning, scoring 2 or 3 goals, and getting their confidence back against the big test this weekend.
Getting their confidence back, or qualifying was also getting their confidence back. He needed the results. After those,
there's something that goes those two, the team, right?
Yeah. So after those shambolic performances over the weekend and since for a very long time, he needed something, and they got it against Sporting Lisbon.
Well, so there you go. The the quarterfinals have been played, and the semi-finalists have been decided. Well, we've got PSG, we've got Bayern Munich, we've got Arsenal, and we've got Atletico Madrid. It's going to be PSG against Bayern Munich, and of course, Arsenal against Atletico Madrid. Who makes the final of the Champions League?